Hey guys, this is test 36 game 2. This is the radio talk show host game. It's an ordering game. We know this because the first line tells us that the calls are sequential. And we have three different rows here. I'll explain all of this. Basically, we've got, the cities, Vancouver, Seattle, and Kelowna. We've got that the calls are live or taped, and then we have the five people, F, G, H, I, M. So I've set them up in 3 rows of 5 slots each. And we will basically be placing the people in order as we assign them both a city and the attribute of being live or taped. So the first rule tells us that we have I and M are the first 2 calls aired, not necessarily in that order, so I've put down I/M, M/I on 1 and 2. Those slots are reserved for I and M specifically, although we don't know the exact order. The next rule tells us the third call is from Kelowna and is taped. They do not specify a person for that. Then they say that both Seattle calls are live, so I put down SL in 2 vertical boxes. I've even left a space below them so that they appear just as they would on the main diagram itself, SL and then a person for both of those 2 calls. Then they tell us that both G and F are after H. We can actually make an inference here. Because there are only 3 people remaining, and H is before the other 2, we can infer that H has to go on 3, and then we will have G and F interchangeable on slots 4 and 5. So we've got down G/F and F/G. Then they finally tell us that neither M nor F calls from Seattle. So we know that neither M nor F will be within these Seattle boxes, so we can put down M and F with slashes through them on that slot, on those 2 boxes. So now we want to think about, well, who could be calling from Seattle? It can't be M or F because those people are not calling from Seattle as the rule tells us. We also know it's not H because H has to be from Kelowna. As such, we can infer that only G or I could be those Seattle callers, and because there are 2 Seattle callers, one of them will be I for certain, and one of them will be G for certain. Now, they also tell us that if M and F are not calling from Seattle, we want to think about where might M and F actually be calling from. They can't be Seattle, so Seattle is out of the running. We know they can't be from Kelowna because Henry's got Kelowna. That only leaves Vancouver. So both M and F are calling from Seattle, although we do not know specifically whether their calls are live or taped. So I've left a space between those 2 people. And this is essentially our initial setup for the game. We have a lot of ambiguity remaining with regard to what's happening on the live taped and then the cities rows, but we'll be able to figure that out over the course of the game for any particular diagram. Question number 7, general orientation question. We just want to take one rule or one inference at a time and apply that to all 5 choices looking for violations. Now, we actually have a major inference here regarding the people, which is what they are specifically asking us about here. We know that H has to be on 3. We know this from the combination of multiple rules. We know that we have to have I or M on 1 and 2 according to the first rule, and we have to have G and F after H according to one of the later rules, number 4. So for that reason, knowing that H is on 3 is especially powerful. And if you scan through the 3rd column of choices in number 7, you find that none of A, B, or D has H on 7, so for that reason they are all eliminated. Then if you look at C, you find that you have M and G on 1 and 2, not M and I in some order, so C is gone, leaving E as your answer to number 7. Next, number 8, what could be true? No way to predict what they're going to ask here. Let's just run through the choices. A, F on 5. Yes, of course, that is possible. So A is our answer to number 8. I will run through the rest, though. That happened a little bit too quickly, right? So B, G on 1. No, we have G on 4 or 5 always, so B is gone. C, H on 2. No, H is on 3 specifically. That's gone. D, I on 3. No, I is on 1 or 2. That's the first rule of the game. So D is gone. And then E, M on 5. Of course, again, M is on 1 or 2, so E is eliminated, leaving A as our answer to number 8. Next, number 9. If the first call is from Seattle. Now this tells us that it has to be Isaac because Mel is always from Vancouver and we always have either I or M on 1. So I is going to be on 1, and we will specifically have L and S there as well in the 1 column. And if I is 1, then M is on 2, M is Vancouver, although we do not know whether it is live or taped on 2, and then 4 and 5 are completely unaffected by this. What happens on 1 affects 2 and vice versa, but they kind of happen in a bubble separate from 4 and 5. It's like these are two separate universes. The 4-5 universe and then the 1-2 universe. They are seemingly unrelated. And of course, KTH on 3 is a constant. So they ask us in general what could be true. Now, if you scan through the choices, you'll find that each of them tells us that some variable is the next after something else. So they're kind of giving us the second thing first, and that's really annoying. So when they tell you, F is the next call after H, they really mean IF occurring consecutively in that order. So I would write down the first variable listed and make it the second part of a block. I'll show you what I mean. So there's F, H, 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 I. Those are the 5 letters that occur second in a pairing. Like the other variables, of course, will be right here. This is choice A, has F second in the box, B has H second, etc. And then we could list the other variables, I, F, M, I, M. And those are the variables occurring first in the box. So basically, could we have an IF box going on? No. I's on 1 or 2, F's on 4 or 5. Those guys are never touching, so A is gone. B, FH. No, F is occurring after H, not before it, so B is eliminated. C, MH. Yes, we could very easily have that. In fact, we have to have it in this case. There's MH occurring on 2 and 3, so C is our answer. I will run through the rest, though. D, IH. No, I's on 1, H is on 3. They're not touching. D's gone. E, MH, MI. No, of course, it's IM, not MI, so E is gone. Now, you didn't have to do this here. I just think it's kind of a neat little way to rephrase what they've given us and put it into a more useful form. I would have written this down right next to the relevant choices to the right of that little question. So C is our answer to number 9. Next, number 10, if we have a taped call on 1. So, of course, we're going to have Mel on 1 because Isaac would have been live. So Mel's on 1 and Mel is Vancouver, meaning that if Mel's on 1, Isaac is on 2, and Isaac is live Seattle. Again, what happens on 1 and 2 does not affect 4 and 5. They're like two separate little bubbles. Anyway, they're asking us what cannot be true. So run through the choices. 4 of these choices could be true. Find the 4 that could be true, eliminate them. Whatever remains is your answer. So A, F on 4. Yeah, that's fine. F and G on 4 and 5, not affected. Perfectly fine either way. A's gone. B, G on 5. Same thing. G could be on 4 or 5, not affected. G on 5 is perfectly fine. C, T on 2. Impossible, because we have to have L on 2, not T on 2. L on 2 is a fixed thing resulting from the condition of the question stem. So C is our answer. I will go through the rest, though. D, T on 3. That could certainly be true. That's actually always the case. So D's gone. And then E, T on 4. We could have T on 4, L on 5, L on 4, T on 5, completely undetermined. So for that reason, E is gone, leaving C is our answer to number 10. Next, number 11, general must be true question. A, G live, of course, that is a must. We have that right here, GLS, guaranteed initial inference. A is our answer. I will go through the rest, though. B, H live, no, H is specifically taped in the third column here, so B is gone. C, M live, could happen. It's undetermined, though. Mel could be live or taped. We don't know, so C is gone. D, Felicia taped. Felicia could be live or taped. We don't know, so for that reason, D is gone. And then E, Isaac taped. No, I is specifically live, so E is gone, leaving A by elimination if you didn't get it before. Two different ways this could play out. We could either have TLTLT, or we could have LTLTL. Now, we don't know specifically which one they're going to be asking us about here. Those are just, in general, the two ways it could play out. But it turns out that the second one, LTLTL, is impossible because we have to have T on 3, so I'm going to reject that possibility. It's definitely going to be TLTLT. So I'm going to list that right up here. We have T on 1, L on 2, T on 3 as always. Then we're going to have L on 4 and T on 5. So basically, we just want to determine what happens as a result of this. If T's on 1, it's not going to be Isaac, it has to be Mel because Isaac is always live. So 1 is Mel, taped Vancouver. Second is Isaac on 2, who is live, and then he's from Seattle. That's an initial inference right there, ILS. 3 is undetermined as always. 4 is live, so it has to be Gwen, and Gwen is Seattle. And then 5 is Felicia, and Felicia is Vancouver. So now they're asking us, actually, how many different orders could there be? Turns out it could only be M, I, H, G, F. Only one distinct possibility. There's absolutely no ambiguity regarding the people's ordering. So for that reason, A, 1 is our answer to number 12. Next, number 13, if we have a taped call on 2. So if taped call is 2, say it with me now, we know that Mel has to be second because Isaac has to be live as always. So if Mel is 2, Isaac is 1, Isaac is live and Seattle, and Mel is taped and Vancouver because, again, she's always Vancouver. Now, what happens on 1 and 2 does not affect 4 and 5 once again. Those guys are undetermined. So they ask us here what cannot be true. So 4 of the choices could be true. Find those 4, eliminate them. Whatever remains is your answer. So anyway, A, first call is Seattle. Yes, that could be true. In fact, it is a must here, so A is eliminated, making B, first call Vancouver, impossible, and our answer as a result. I will go through the rest, though. Fourth call Seattle. Fourth call could be Seattle or Vancouver, undetermined, and that is eliminated. D, fifth call Seattle, again, undetermined, we don't know, eliminated. And then E, fifth call Vancouver, again, unknown, undetermined, eliminated, leaving B as our answer to number 13.